Do you know where this noble wanted to meet us?
I do. The Comte Boisvert invited us to his mansion, not far from here. I pray he clears up the deaths of my messengers, as promised.
Lead the way.
Welcome, my friend.
Thank you for seeing us, Comte Boisvert.
The honor is mine. Please, sit. It's an honor to assist two such distinguished guests.
We appreciate your help, Comte.
The death of Lady Montily's servants must weigh heavily on you. Have you heard of the House of Repose?
The Assassin's League?
My contacts obtained a copy of a document in the archives. Contract for life.
The House of Repose is hereby sworn to eliminate anyone attempting to overturn the Montiliers' trading exile in Orlais.
They're not just after your messengers, Josephine. They'll try for you, too.
I am afraid so, yes.
The contract was signed by a noble family. The Du Paraquets.
But the Du Paraquets died out as a noble line over 60 years ago.
Indeed. But the contract was signed 109 years ago.
How can a family try to kill you after they died out?
The Du Paraquets were our rivals. They drove the Montiliers from Val Royaux. This contract was drawn up over 100 years ago, but it wasn't invoked until I tried to overturn my family's exile.
Unpleasant though it may be, the House of Repose is merely fulfilling its contractual duties.
If the people who wanted your family dead are gone, why are the assassins still after you?
A contract is a contract, Inquisitor. Orlesian businesses live and die by their reputations. The entire guild's welfare would be endangered if an agreement was tossed aside on a whim of time or fate.
She's quite right, Your Worship. The House of Repose is doing what it feels necessary, by its standards.
I'll do what I can to stop these attacks, Josephine.
Thank you, Inquisitor. I think I may know how. The Du Paraquets still have descendants under the common branch. If we elevate them to nobility, a Du Paraquet could annul the contract on my life.
That will take time, Lady Montilier. Time during which the House of Repose will be obliged to hunt you.
Will they now? You are exceedingly well informed. You're not to have said you'd heard rumors, at best.
A bit of subterfuge. This contract on your life is an ugly business. One the House of Repose deeply regrets. But this is Orlais. Even an assassin's word is his bond.
Does Comte Boisvert actually exist?
Absolutely. The Comte's offer to reveal the killers of Lady Montily's messengers was genuine. So was his information somehow. An end to be tied up later.
I'm guessing the actual Comte Boisvert met with a fatal accident.
Comte Boisvert slumbers in a nearby closet. Nothing more. The contract on Lady Montily's life is so unusual, we felt the courtesy of an explanation was in order.
It is appreciated, monsieur.
Your idea to seek out the Du Paraquet to revoke our orders is an interesting one. I wish you luck. I did not come to shed blood today, Inquisitor. Only to speak. Might I pass?
Why warn us about your contract and let us go?
In Orlais, it is only decent to inform those involved in a contract when extraordinary circumstances conspire.
And the guild's reputation would suffer if you ignored the contract. I quite understand.
Thank you, my lady. May we conclude with my departure?
Go, then.
Good day, your worship. My lady, I pray we never meet again.
Well, I didn't think our meeting would end like this.
We'll deal with these assassins.
I have some thoughts. Let's discuss them back at Skyhold. I'll feel safer with the castle's walls around me.
Do you hear something?
Oh, goodness. Comte Poivert, is that you? Oh, the lock's been broken off. We'll find a saw. I realize the cabinet is quite valuable, Comte, but surely... A locksmith, then? As you wish. I'm so sorry, Inquisitor. I never thought my family's trading status would trap us in an assassin's plot.
Between our soldiers and spies, Skyhold's safer than anywhere else in Phaedus.
Yet the problem persists. I've tracked down the last two paraquets. If they become gentry, they can annul the contract on my life. We'll require a noble from Val Royaux to sponsor them, a judge to provide documents, a minister to ratify them.
It's so like you to take the longest course of action, even when your life is at stake.
I assume you already know everything about this mess.
There is a faster way, Josephine. The original contract on your life is in the vaults of the House of Repose. If my agents infiltrate it and destroy the original, the assassin will have no obligation to chase you.
Liliana, please. I want no more bloodshed over a personal affair.
Don't be so stubborn, Josie. How long will it take you to gather these favors in Val Royaux?
We can solve this without more deaths on either side.
My people are ready, should you change your mind. I'll post a watch on our ambassador in case the House of Repose visits.
I appreciate it, but I still believe elevating the two paraquets will solve this. First, we need to perform some favors in Val Royaux. I'd be happy to discuss where we could begin. Any news on the House of Repose, Inquisitor?
How exactly does one turn farmers into members of the upper classes?
There are procedures for granting honored citizens of the Empire the title of Lord or Lady. Very long procedures. And so much paperwork. I've called in a substantial number of favors just to cut through half of it.
Why did the Duparaquets hate the Montiliers so much they set up a permanent assassination watch?
There's not much more beyond what I mentioned before. A Montilier and a Duparaquet fell in love. A young couple, pledged elsewhere, attempted to elope. The whole thing ended so violently, it's a wonder any survived. It's fortunate the Duparaquet's descendants hold no grudges.
What if the Duparaquets refuse to aid you?
I've already contacted the Duparaquets, Inquisitor. They're ready to help us. It will be a long road, but a lordship is a chance to restore a proud lineage to their heirs. Besides, I've promised them a heavy bag of coin once this is over.
Are you sure the House of Repose will forget this assassin contract on a farmer's signature?
It's perfectly legal. In Valroyo's noble circles, a written word is a bond. Besides, the guild would never risk being so unspeakably crass.
These assassins are afraid of being seen as impolite.
Breaking one's public oath or bond implies a certain poverty in Orlais. A common merchant may lack the resources or manners to fulfill a debt, but among the guilds, it would be shameful.
You said I'd have to do some favors in Valroyo if we want to make the Duparaquets lords.
The Countess Dion is our first step. Her lover, a mage from the White Spire, is missing. Bring her news of him and she'll be very amenable to sponsoring the Duparaquets as lords.
Let's see what we have.
To work?
Stand not so close. From all we've heard, it seems Chancellor
Inquisitor, what an unexpected letter. You must have had a long journey to the sea. Might there be any news from this house?
Here's a letter from Ellery. He's safe with family in the depths.
Oh, my Ellery. Oh, bless you. The Dions will sponsor the Dubaracats as a family deserving of a noble title. Incredible. You have my word. Now please, forgive my ignorance, but I must read Ellery's words. Make her keep. Inquisitor!
What happened here?
The House of Repose cited pay a visit. The guards are acting that I should arrest the assassins with infiltrate the surface.
Are you sure it didn't hurt you?
The unfrightened. It was so sudden. Leanna signed pulled shadow. They appeared to save my life. I every sergeant.
Only my duty, isn't it? I'll spy much about these murderous louts. She'll find how they got in.
Any news on the House of Repose, Inquisitor?
What's the next favor we need? Get these Duparacats a lordship.
We need a judge of the royal court to procure documents acknowledging them as nobility. Any news on the House of Repose, Inquisitor?
It's...
Any news on the House of Repose, Inquisitor?
What's the next favor we need to get these Duparacats a lordship?
We must persuade Minister Belize to ratify the papers. She's in charge of these matters of rank. The minister will be at a small fete thrown by the Marquis Wiscott. I'll get you an invitation. Any news on the House of Repose, Inquisitor? Another... At your service. Let's see what we have. Inquisitor.
Thank you for seeing me in private, Minister Belize.
I chastise you for taking me from the party, Inquisitor, but the Marquis throws such dull affairs. It's hardly worth it. I assume you wish to discuss your petition to elevate these du Paraquets to a minor lordship. Tell me, why should I allow you to pollute the Orlesian nobility any further than it's already been muddled?
The du Paraquets used to be noble. You'd be restoring an old house of Orlais.
Restoring it far too late. What are the du Paraquets now? Traders? Farmers? Really, it is too much. The very thought causes me pain. What can you possibly provide that will make your petition worth my effort?
Information. Unless you believe your source is better than agents of the Inquisition.
Normally, I wouldn't trust your discretion. But the left hand of the Divine is working for you, is she not? Sister Leliana is a resourceful woman. I could certainly make use of her talents. Very well, Inquisitor. Should you fulfill this bargain, I shall raise the du Paraquets into lordship.
I must return to Val Rayo to see that everything is in order. Please join me when you can. I received a letter from the House of Repose, Your Worship. They acknowledge their contract is null and void. There is no longer a price on my life.
I'm glad you don't have to live your life looking over your shoulder anymore.
I regret we were forced to deal with them, that you were endangered by my part in the game. Did I ever mention I used to be a bard?
You were a singer.
Bards entertain the Orlesian court. They sing, play music, make charming conversation, and spy. Many young nobles put on a mask and practice playing the game in such a fashion.
What made you interested in becoming a bard?
I was attending a university in Valroyo when I learned about bards. There was such an air of romance about them. Stories of secrets, trysts, and fascinating people. A group of us, young gentry from Antiva, decided this exciting life was for us.
I don't imagine many firstborn heirs join those ranks.
No, I was a rather foolish exception. During one particular intrigue, I encountered a bard sent to kill my patron. We fought. Or perhaps scrapped is the better word. Both of us terrified. We were at the top of a steep flight of stairs. The other bard threw a knife, and I pushed him away from me. You can imagine the result.
I don't see the fault. You survived, as did your patron.
But it was such a waste, Inquisitor. When I took off his mask, I knew him. We'd attended parties together. If I'd stopped to reason, if I'd used my voice instead of scuffling like a common thug, I'll always wonder who that young man would have grown into.
He seemed willing enough to murder you for the game.
Perhaps. I feel I'm the last to judge whether or not he would have actually used the blade. In all the commotion... forgive me, I don't believe I ever thanked you for helping me with this.
Hold on to it. Don't lose sight of why you came here.
I will never forget you helped save the House of Montilyet, Inquisitor. And should you ever visit Antiva, stories of the welcome we'll give you will be told for years.